You
this
put it on
world
the test,
whenever
right?
I mean, it doesn't matter how you say it.
it was heathen stuff.
Okay. Let's give the floor to Mike.
AIDS is God's punishment for sin. All right?
Please say amen.
Whoa.
Good start.
Yeah.
Well, what does Earl Shelton say about it in the Journal of Pastoral Care? Section O. I don't know what page it is in your all's curriculum, I'm sorry.
It's on 74.
74, thank you. AIDS is vengeance from God, right?
Depends on the circumstance.
They were saying age, not age.
AIDS.
I thought it was age.
No, it's AIDS.
Need a mirror here, I'm sorry.
It's an indiscriminate killer. It kills children, it kills innocent people that never had any reason to contract it other than maybe misfortune. I mean, people can.
Did
you
anybody
can get it
hear
from a
Mike's
needle stick.
question? Because, did anybody hear Mike's question?
Is it from God, a punishment?
No, what was your
I
question,
just don't
baby?
believe it.
What did, who said?
What does
AIDS
Earl?
is God's punishment, all right?
False.
That's false.
It's vengeance towards one group of people, right?
No. He states that understanding by
Thank
AIDS
you,
is a vengeance
Amanda.
of God towards a person or group of people is theologically incorrect for these reasons listed on 75.
Okay, and farther down in there, we talk about, some of the other things that are associated, like, with the ill, pastors, counselors should pray for compassion. Isn't that what all Christians should do? We should be compassionate. So if it's an AIDS patient, they're a patient still. Should we treat them any differently than anybody else, any other patient that has a serious illness? Okay. And that moves us into the dying process. I'm hoping everybody's already read all this, the rest of the curriculum, because we're gonna kind of blow through. Tell me about the dying process.
Something experienced individually.
Okay? What else?
It's unique and special drama.
When does it start?
Starts at birth.
Okay? For the terminally ill person, when's it begin?
And they, learn out there.
Are these the same thing? If it starts at birth, and it also starts for the terminally ill patient when they learn about it, that's not the same thing, is it? Okay. So it's a process that refers to what? End of life, end of physical life on earth. Let's go down to section I, normal physical signs of death with appropriate responses. Tell me about a dying person.
The dying person will sleep more often for longer periods of time and will be more difficult to arouse. This is normal due to changes in the body's metabolism. Sit down with the person, hold their hand, do not shake or speak loudly, but speak softly and naturally.
Okay, what else? What's next?
Sensation, mobility, and reflexes are lost in the lower extremity, progressing to the upper extremities. The sense of touch is diminished, yet the dying person can sense pressure. Touch the dying gently but firmly, since extremely light stroking can be an irritant.
Okay, next.
The sense of vision begins to fail. The person sees only what is nearby and always turns their head towards the light. Families should sit near the head of the bed.
Okay. Person may seem confused, the individual may begin to want little food or water. Urine output decreases, periods of apnea, breathing issues, respiratory problems, peripheral circulation diminishes in the extremities. All these things are talking about what? The body shutting
Body
down.
shutting down.
Yeah,
Okay, so when someone's dying, what's happening?
the body's shutting off.
The body is shutting down, all the systems are turning off, okay? And there's no specific order, you can't sit there and go through a checklist and, okay, well, yeah, you're dead. 3 out of 4, you're gone, right? We don't know the order, God does. But these are all indicators of the dying process. What about normal, emotional, spiritual, mental signs of death? That's a fun one, number 2. What are some of these?
Withdrawal. The person may seem unresponsive, withdrawn, or in a comatose-like state.
Okay, why? It's part of the letting go. Okay. The next one down, the person's beginning to detach from this life. Yeah.
I've seen that happen numerous times.
Exactly. So how many have seen that process?
I'm witnessing it right now
Okay.
with Nicole's mom, it's all happening.
The third section down, the chaplain should read something comforting from the scriptures, pray with them, and give assurance that it's okay to let go. Because how many times have we seen somebody that is, oh, I gotta hold on, my son's going through this, oh, I gotta hold on till this happened, oh, I can't go yet, I got this going on. That's not their concern anymore. So it's our position to what? To comfort them, to ease them in to this process and let them know it's okay, let go. What about, well, the next section down says exactly that, giving them permission to let go whenever they are ready. Okay, so, we're not gonna rush it, are we? It's in God's time. All right, what about the next section? The inner circle?
Keep people around them.
Yeah, so it's basically saying that the person needs the affirmation of the inner circle to help them accept that it's time to let go. Giving permission to let go. Saying goodbye is the final gift of love. Tears do not need to be hidden or apologized for at this time. In the final moments at the bottom of that page, I think, on your curriculum, in the final moments up to the death occurs. Read that.
Encourage loved ones to sit near the head of the bed, touch the dying person, hold their hand, and continue to talk even though they may not be responsive.
Okay, so this is all saying what? We're gonna comfort them. We're gonna ease them into the process as much as possible. We don't know how long it's gonna take, but again, it's that reassurance that it's okay to let go. You want the family to be part of that as well. And once they have that comfort from the family, from their chaplain, from that inner circle, then they can resign themselves to the fact that it's time to let go. Tell me about the death call.
Respond to a death's sensitivity to the pain of the family. Give as much information as possible.
Okay, what's after that?
Introduce yourself and let them know what your intentions are.
Okay, what about, what's next? Middle of the page, there's a sentence that says the key is simply to follow them in an ego-supportive and emotionally available way. So that's our job as chaplains. We have to be emotionally giving. We have to be able to do that.
What does ego supportive mean?
It's,
Stroke their ego is what I thought of, like, you know,
Like being where they are on their level?
yeah,
yes,
You know,
yeah,
Maybe like different personalities and different people, like
yeah.
one person would find supportive of someone else, or wouldn't be as supportive to them.
you know, you may have somebody that's fighting it, do not go into death quietly into that night, you know, that old saying. They may fight like crazy. Different people will handle it in different ways. After sitting with the family for a while, engaging with them is important. Why?
Cause it'll lower their anxiety.
Okay.
It makes them feel closer to you.
You have to trust
Like,
them.
yeah.
The doctor and the emergency room team are still working, but it's touch and go. And judging by their remarks, I don't think things are going well. If I told you anything other than this, I would be misleading you. I mean, you know, we don't have an answer. Well, at 9:07, he's gonna check out, or she's gonna check out for sure, it'll be over then. And we don't know that. What about number 4?
Find out if the family has a pastoral priest.
Kind of important. 5,
Once the family has been told by the doctor or hospice nurse or other medical persons of the death of the patient, grief will be triggered, and it is best not to say anything in this time unless asked.
so this is the process that we're gonna go through when we're dealing with this death call. Number 7, the nurse will need papers to be signed, which include name of the funeral home. Need to know about permission for autopsy and donation of organs. What about number 7? After the family has time to ventilate and let the news sink in,
Offer them the opportunity to think about it.
okay, is that important?
Yes.
Yep.
some people it is.
Yeah, it's closure.
It's huge.
Yes, it's closure.
What about an infant?
That's up to the parents, can offer to keep the child for them.
It says to let them hold the body.
Some cultures even wanna participate in washing of the body.
I can tell you, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you
My son's baby died 8 months gestation. And, the mama was in the, hospital for a week. And they kept that baby in there, they kept him cold. By the end of the week, it was really bad, but they would hold him, I even did it once, but at the beginning, they would hold him. By the end of the week, even though he was on ice and cold, he was looking bad, you know? But you couldn't pull him from those two, you just couldn't pull him. Because, like, he would talk to the baby, you know, they know it was a boy. And you know how you do when you're pregnant, you know, as a family. It was terrible, but going through, it just all flashed back to me.
It's,
It depends upon the situation, because the child that I lost had started to decompose. So my first husband, in his mind, and the doctors made the decision that I wouldn't see him. Even though he was my first son, I was able to think of him as a full body, not having any problems, even though I knew all the issues that he had. In my mind, I don't see him that way. I see him as a perfect little boy, baby, you know. So it just depends upon the situation and what's going on. My daughter, the baby was delivered. I was carrying him from the delivery room, and he started kind of snorting And I thought it was cute, I thought he was just making noises, so it turns out he was fine at birth, but his lungs weren't developed as well as they needed to be, and he did pass away within 18 hours. But we were able to hold him, and, you know, it brings closure. So it was good for her and for us.
Needless to say, that's a rough one. So this is the kind of checklist kind of stuff that you're gonna wanna be well versed in if you decide to do hospital chaplaincy, because it's likely you're gonna face this situation. And if you do, you wanna be prepared and know what to do and how best to try to handle it, because that's all we're doing. We don't have all the answers.
No, there's not.
So all we can do is trust the guidelines of those who went before us and put this curriculum together, that think, okay, well, here, in our opinion, is the best way to handle a situation like this, or those that have done it before. Fortunately, I've not, so it would be as tough for me as it would anybody else. What about number 8?
When the family is ready to leave, or you are leaving the home, it is appropriate to say something like, "You'll be in my thoughts and prayers, and if there's anything we can do or any way we can help in the days ahead, please do not hesitate to call." This is coupled with a handshake, a touch on the shoulder, and even a hug. This lets the family know that you care and want to help and are sensitive to the loss.
Okay. What about number 9?
To be alert to the staff reaction as well, especially if it is a child or a person well known to the staff. They might have some difficulty with the deck. Allowing them to express their anger about the unfairness or giving them a word of comfort often is helpful.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you about one that I did go through in the Air Force. I reported for duty, I was a medic, and the chief nurse asked me if I would take care of this little boy that was in the room. Sure, because he didn't bond with the rest of them. They had trouble dealing with him. I went in and played with him, and he bonded to me. And I'm trying to remember if I've got it right, but I think the first time he was in there with a broken arm. And the story was that the stepdaddy was throwing him up in the air and missed and broke his little arm.
How old was
He
he?
was like 18 months old. And I think Mama was,
Where this is going.
I wanna say Vietnamese, she may have been Filipino, I don't remember, she didn't speak real good English. So I took care of him for about 2 weeks and, you know, really loved the little boy. Well, a couple weeks pass, he's back in there. I go to work and they say, "Sarge, would you go take care of the little boy again?" Sure. This time, he's got 2nd-degree burns on his legs. It's like, what's up with this? Well, Mama put him in the bathtub and he turned the hot water on and scalded himself. Okay. So that went away, and the next time he came in, they met me at the hallway and said, "Sarge, you gotta go home." What do you mean? Well, no, you gotta go home now. They had Daddy in there. He had beat the little boy in the stomach and ruptured all of his organs, and they knew if I went in there, it wouldn't have been pretty. I got sent home till they transferred him. We never know what we're gonna deal with. When I was in law enforcement, I dealt with some pretty ugly situations involving kids and animals. And I'm gonna tell you, it rips your heart out.
It does.
And I actually had to call for backup to transport a prisoner one time because I didn't trust myself with them. Yeah, and involving little kids and animals, it's rough. So it's an emotional roller coaster. As chaplains, you can get sucked into, it just sucks the life out of you, and you have to understand that, you have to know it. You have to watch yourself, but you also have to be in tune with what the families are going through. But it can rip your heart out. Which brings us to grief, which is a crucial part of recovery, section 18. What does A say?
Mine. Time for a break.
Okay, we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
You wanna stop
Nancy,
it?
we're gonna take a break. We'll be back at 7. Okay?
Okay, see you then.